Murdered Soul Suspect is a supernatural detective game. We talked to writer Doug Van Horne and media director Matt Brunner of Airtight Games during BAFTA's Inside Games Showcase in London.
10-4.
So yeah, in the game you play as Ronan O'Connor, and he is a detective in the Salem Police Department. At the beginning of the game, he's kind of viciously murdered, doesn't know who killed him, and he ends up in a limbo world where, as a ghost, where he has to learn new kind of supernatural versions of his abilities, new ghostly abilities, to hunt down and solve his own murder so he can move on in the afterlife.
This is a game that has a very specific narrative direction to it. We are kind of framing the mood, the tone, the sensibility of the world for the player at the very beginning, and then we open it up for them to begin to explore and create the kind of game that they want out of it in many ways. So I would say the first third of the game is really about sinking the player into a particular point of view, a way of seeing the world, a way of understanding the world. And then when they are kind of given total control and the ability to run around and figure things out for themselves, they're deeply rooted in it, and it works very well that way. So the game begins strongly with narrative, and then it begins to integrate the narrative in bite-sized chunks so that the player isn't lost. They're not just abandoned to the world, but at the same time it gives them a lot more agency in trying to figure out exactly what this means to them and how to progress through the game.
Yeah, I mean, we reference pretty much every noir game, every investigation game, anything with a darker tone that was executed really well. We referenced quite a few movies, of course, and even some TV shows. One that you reminded me about intelligently a little while ago was the movie Seven. That one kept coming up as from a tonal perspective, as a great reference point, a great touchstone, and because of how it did a great job of expanding a longer mystery, or like kind of building a weaving mystery throughout a one case, and kind of leading you places that you might not have expected, and there's kind of it's not, our story might not be as harsh as Seven. I mean, it's still a harsh story, but that was definitely one of the influences for sure, and just in general, like the notion of being a ghost and what that would mean, and deciphering what that means for our team, and how that could best serve the game and the audience. That was kind of our biggest inspiration. Like the idea of brainstorming of what this can mean, and like referencing all kinds of ghost lore from around the world, and turning that into a game is kind of probably the biggest single inspiration for what you see on screen.